Hallo, assalamu alaikum, good morning, Khushamdi, Ji Ayanu, Goedemorgen, Ishbata.
Pagheragale, ni hao, chunashumme, washmale, ohaya gunzaimes, guten morgen, hola, boyor, privyet, kaifahal, halishuma chatore, ahlan wasalan marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabia, bhalli kare aaya. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into PTV World. You're definitely watching World this morning. Alongside the very fantastic, amazing, super, finally, who's been to Lahore as well. She is Miss Shiza Hashmi, and I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan. We hope and pray that everybody out there is ready to kickstart their day with us on a very rainy morning over here in Islamabad. Hello Shiza, how are you doing? You must be enjoying, right?
I am absolutely loving it. Thank you so much for asking. And before I ask how you're doing, which I really hope you're doing good as well, I hope that you guys are going to have an amazing day, first of all. If you're stepping out, make sure to keep an umbrella or at least a raincoat, especially if you have an open transport or vehicle system. Other than that, it's going to be super cold, so make sure you do at least 3 layers. I'm wearing 4.
I think it's super cold anyways, because early in the morning, that's what you get to know. Because today what happened was that my mother knows that I actually have to wake up at 7, but no matter what happens, she will always knock my door at 6:45. And so today, and because it's my mother knocking on my door, so no matter what happens, even out of respect, I just wake up, even if I know that my alarm's going to go off at 7. So I'm like, gee, mom, I'm up and everything's sorted. Thank you very much for being out here as well and always waking me up. But today I was like, are you up? Are you up? Gigi, I'm up. And then I slept for another 15 minutes till the time at 7. My alarm went off as well, and I was like, you know what, Mom, how do you do this? How do you, for all of these years I have existed, you've been doing this as well, and how do you get up so early? And then she obviously has a morning routine where she needs to go out for a walk and everything, so she was out there. But yeah, so I started my day with a big hug to my mom as well. And I was like, I'm so thankful for all of those things you do for us every single day. And I think everybody needs to do that. Each and every kid who's out there, please make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that you cherish and enjoy while your parents are around as well. And make sure that you give them all of that sukoon they have given to you as well. I think that's how I wanted to start my day. So, for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, we hope and pray that it's going to be a wonderful year and a wonderful week ahead of you as well. Other than that, I'm just excited.
Well, okay. Is there something particular?
Yes, okay. There's something particular. And since Jamshed Saab, one of our very amazing producers, ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillah, happens to be the deputy controller of PTV World now as well, which is great. So one day he came up to me, and since I was busy, I was doing some outdoor shows, so I couldn't really do justice with the sports broadcast journalism. So one day, do you remember that Jamshed Saab actually was like, hey, you know what, I think that you should really need to go back to PTV Sports. Today, inshallah, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back on PTV Sports right at 10 p.m. alongside Ms. Sana Mir and Rashid Latif. Please make sure to tune in as well. I think I wanted this to be a surprise for Jamshed Sultan Saab and for everybody out there who's been following me, or my cricket broadcast journalism journey. Ladies and gentlemen, today is the day, so we'll be back on Game On as well.
Congratulations,
Thank you very
first
much.
of all. I'm so happy for you. And in all honesty, it's been some weeks or actually some months now. We were waiting for you to do it, right? I mean, you're definitely the most appropriate candidate for this, so congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. But there's one more thing which I want to kind of talk about, and that is that, when you have a lot of work to do, what happens is that you kind of just look forward and overthink about it. So what is that technique you have with you that, when you know that you have a lot of work to do, how do you kind of stop your brain to think about what is yet to come in next 9 hours and then focus on what you're already doing? How do you do that?
I struggle at it. Honestly, it's been more than 2 decades now for my life, and I'm still struggling with it. I don't know. The mind sort of gets clouded, right? Especially when you know that there are more than 2 or 3 tasks that you have to do. So I think safe to say I'm bad at multitasking.
All right.
Do you have suggestions or tips for to manage that?
I think that the only tip I have, or what I do, is that I just focus on what I'm doing currently, and then probably just give it another try. Afterwards, I'm done with the first job, and then I would want to kind of give it my 100% whatever job I'm supposed to do as well. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, today it's a heads up for everyone who's out there. If you ever get a link from an unknown number, please make sure that you do not click on it on your WhatsApp. There's a news scam on as well. First of all, we want to share the news. Can we please have the news? Yes, it's right in front of you. So ladies and gentlemen, hear me out clearly. So new WhatsApp message scam can hack your bank account. That's what we are telling you. A new WhatsApp scam called Red Eroff has been used to steal personal data and bank account information from victims. This scam allows fraudsters to force users to divulge their credit card information, but it is also reported to infect Windows PCs, iPhones and Android phones. When a user receives the link and clicks on it, a new page appears asking him then to complete a survey. The user is notified that he or she will receive a prize after finishing the survey. So please, no nadidgi at all. However, the user is routed to a web page that requests their name, age, address, bank information, and other personal information that could lead to identity theft. Once all of the facts are in place, the fraudsters utilize the information to conduct transactions and participate in criminal activities using the user's personal information. So yeah, heads up, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you do not click on any link sent to you by any unknown number, or even if it is somebody whom you know, ladies and gentlemen. I think what you really need to do is just make sure whether you trust the person or not. That's it.
Absolutely, that's it. And it's so scary as well, Shazad, because every now and then, regardless of, well, our friends, our family members for that matter, sometimes even in our work groups, people are sharing links. I'm not saying they're all wrong. Of course, sometimes it's very, well, it is the link for need as well. But the point being, we don't really know which one's going to be a scam or not. So you really have to be safe out there too.
But the reason, Shiza, over here is that obviously now everybody's kind of very pro with the mobile banking as well, and everybody's got these applications on their cell phones, and everybody knows, even if it's even if you're using Facebook and you do not actually kind of go to the setting and make sure that the app is not allowed to track you, only then you won't be tracked. But otherwise, even if you're using Facebook, they will know your bank account, and they will know your bank account details as well, because the applications are continuously tracking you and your activities. So whatever page you're going to and whatever page you're coming out of, the activity is being tracked as well. But other than that, I think we really need to kind of put our heads to how people really need to be healthy as well, because obviously we talked about how to save your wealth. We're going to talk about how to save your health as well, ladies and gentlemen. Omicron variant is here. Everybody knows about it. We have done a couple of shows on it, and we have told everyone that it's not that lethal, it's not that fatal, but still, I think it's the mask which is going to save us our lives, right?
Absolutely. While it is definitely not lethal, alhamdulillah for that, because to be honest, for more than 2 years, we've been going through so many different waves. Still, Asad Umar Saab did declare or say that there are high chances of another wave coming on in, of course, of the Omicron itself. That is because it is so easily transferable. What's the right term for that? Yes, because anyone around you can catch it, which is why you really have to keep wearing masks. And since October last year, this is the first time more than 700 cases in one day have been recorded in Pakistan. It's not a good number. So please, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to follow all the SOPs out there. And from today onward, 30 plus years of age people.
We want to share the NCOC tweet as well, so that we can give the authentic news away. So ladies and gentlemen, I think the half part of the tweet is actually not visible as well, so I'm going to read it out for everybody who's out there. From tomorrow onwards, which is today, citizens over 30 years will be eligible for booster dose of their choice. Booster will be administered after 6 months gap from last dose. Amid rising threat of Omicron, please follow SOPs, wear mask, and ensure complete vaccination booster dose if eligible. Well, Shiza, you're eligible now, man. I still have to wait for, I don't know how long.
For 30 plus? Okay, I'll go get it in 5 years.
I think everybody needs to get it, ladies and gentlemen. So please make sure, just go to your messages and check when was the last time you were administered a dose, and or probably inoculated, and then just kind of decide whether it's been 6 months or not. So if it's more than 6 months, go get yourself a booster.
Exactly, especially if you're traveling. The government has made so much ease and availability for all the vaccines over here inside the country. You should go get it. But Shazad, you know what? It's not just the pandemic, of course, and not just the viruses, which is an issue that Pakistanis have to face, and especially when in terms of situation, in terms of geographics and social, society and economy of a country.
And our eating habits.
Well, yes, I was going to get there. Point being, Pakistan being situated in such a place and then being a developing country definitely has been faced with many more diseases, not just the pandemic itself while the world is going through it.
True.
And especially when we talk about an individual's, socioeconomic status or illiteracy, these two are some of the main factors that lead to bad lifestyle habits. For example, I was reading somewhere that imagine a person with a low income household, because of frustration, I don't know how the brain works in a way or how the mentality works. Because of frustration, he's going to use the limited resources on either alcohol or smoking or substance abuse, rather than going to get education, going to get yourself educated and probably learning the best.
True.
It's just human nature, and it does happen everywhere. But point being, with so much illiteracy going on and with so much bad lifestyle habits, of course there are going to be diseases coming up.
True.
Which are going to be lethal. True. And do you know, when we talk about particularly cardiovascular diseases, while I already did mention developing countries are really well at the brunt of it, or rather hurt by it, 80% of the global cardiovascular diseases exist in such countries, and we are one of them. So I think we need to talk about it.
Exactly. So, just to kind of get started with this, ladies and gentlemen, we have already spoken about, certain or probably different cardiovascular diseases. But that's not what the choice is today. So the choice we've made for you today is to kind of adopt to a healthier lifestyle, and what choices we can make in our life to make sure that our heart health is actually on the right track. And nobody kind of speaks about heart health, but people over here, usually in Pakistan, what I've seen is, people who actually fall into my age category, usually they'll be like, घबराहट बहुत हो रही है. Number 1. Number 2, palpitations. Number 3, panic attacks. Number 4, anxiety. Number 5, depression. So all of these mental traumas and pressures will eventually have an impact on your heart. And how to make sure that your heart is healthy is something we will be talking about today. And we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by a consultant cardiologist. He actually happens to be heading the cardiology department in Maroof International Hospital as well. He's Dr. Umar Mufti. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you. I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me here today.
Sir, thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you over here. It's an honor for us, for somebody who actually happens to be a doctor, of the heart himself. And so you might be ruling a lot of hearts these days as well. Anyways, because I think one of the most common issues over here in Pakistan, number 1, starting with cholesterol and then blood pressure and all of these illnesses, diabetes, and they kind of contribute to heart diseases, and may it be COVID as well, because I've had an example even in my household where somebody got COVID and then they ended up with atrial fibrillation as well. But that's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about is those choices we need to make in life to make sure that our heart is healthier every single day and it's ready to love and spread love.
True. So, I mean, with this being the new year, people always come out with New Year's resolutions. And one of the typical ones that people always come out with is, I'm going to watch my diet, I'm going to exercise, I plan to lose 10, maybe 15 pounds, whatever, throughout the year. But no one really follows through with it. True. Now, the thing that we need to realize from the aspect of our own heart health is there's simple choices that you make every day. Your caloric intake, however much you take in for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, needs to be lower per day, and your amount of exercise needs to be higher per day. So the amount of calories you expend is more than you intake. And if you do that, you will eventually lose weight. It'll be gradual, but that's much better than people who are doing these fad diets and everything else. But from our perspective, from the Southeast Asian culture and everything else, where we have a lot of, ghee, chiknai cheezein hum khate hain, that actually causes a lot of cholesterol deposition in all the arteries, particularly then the heart, which can then lead to heart attacks, heart failure. You can have high blood pressure. So we need to monitor our diet. True. And what's not helping really is the newer shift towards the Western diet, which you've seen with, McDonald's around every corner, Hardee's, KFC. We all love KFC. I love it myself, but it's
fast.
It's fast. It's good, but it's not. It's good to eat, but it's not healthy overall.
Exactly.
So what's better is if you look at our society, look at the people up in Hunza. See how their longevity of life is. True. They live into their 90s, their 100s, because they eat properly and they are very physical. They are active. They work.
They're going uphill, coming downhill every single day. So, there's a lot of exercise which goes into it as well.
Correct. So there are simple things that you can do. Let's say if you're going to the mall and you're parking at Centaurus, park further away and walk. Instead of taking the lift, go ahead and walk up the stairs, walk down the stairs. Do these little simple things to, increase your calorie expenditure, and then try and eat a little bit less, and aim towards more healthier lifestyle. So aim towards like a Mediterranean type of a diet. So that means like olive oil is being used, a lot of salads, vegetables.
Soups.
You can use soups.
Yeah.
You can have white meat, so like your chicken, your fish, and that should be baked or grilled, not fried. And then
Not
also
deep fried?
not deep fried, definitely not deep fried. And then the other thing that you need to look at is we can have protein in the form of dal, so like our lentils, everything else. And then one of our major things that we don't realize is the winter, we all love dry fruit around the winter time.
Yeah.
You know, is the better dry fruit to have are walnuts and almonds. So akhrot and badam are better than, much better than cashews. Cashews are particularly high in cholesterol. So
They
those
are.
should be tried to be avoided if you can.
Which one was cashew?
Cashew nuts is kaju.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
And I love them, and that to the fried ones as
I
well.
know,
And
they're
I
so
just cannot
yummy.
help it. And you know, even with dry fruits, you know, doctors are saying that you know you really need to be careful because you can actually have walnuts or almonds. Wow.
So, which actually reminds me that there was this one time, there's an athlete over here on the show, and of course he's discussing his diet and mentioning all the dry fruits, to which we were like, hey, we just eat dry fruits for 5 minutes and we get pimples, and he goes like, you have to burn it off.
Yeah.
Which is true.
It's true. It's true. So you're actually, to burn it off, what we say is, what we recommend from the exercise regimen, it doesn't mean everyone needs to have a gym membership or anything else. It's just a brisk walk. So by a brisk walk, I mean something where you walk and you actually create a sweat. So you're sweating a little bit, and you do it for 30 minutes a day.
Exactly.
So if you're going to start off, I don't want a person who's not exercised forever to go out there and do 30 minutes in one go.
Straight away.
Yeah, get your stamina up there, go 5 minutes one day, 10 minutes the next, and slowly build up to 30 minutes a day. The better option is obviously, if you can get to it, jogging is good as well.
Yeah.
And then anything, if you have a stationary bike, if you can't walk, or biking is good as well.
Exactly. So any sort of workout or exercise, ladies and gentlemen, where your calorie expenditure
Physical
actually goes
activity.
up, I think is something which is more than welcome. Or probably you can just play hide and seek with your kids and run around all
That
over your
counts
house as
as
well.
well.
Because I almost do it every single day. And the best part over here is that, you know, my little angel, you know, she does not really know where hiding is. So she'll probably go somewhere, sit behind a table of glass and be like, hey, find me. And I'm like, pretending, where are you, where are you? So it goes on. But sir, you just mentioned that, you know, that rather than having meat protein, we can probably focus more on lentils as well. And this is something which is very tricky for people like me who go to gym. And because we're really more focused on the amount of protein we really need, you know, to have a better muscle build-up as well. So, you know, for example, going and having barbecues, we're making sure that it's safe, and then grilled fish and, you know, things like that are better choices. But what you just referred to as was that rather than having mutton or beef, you know, it's better to have lentils, you know, to fill in your protein for the day as well. Which lentils in particular can you please share? Because I'm very unaware about that. Because every time we talk about protein, it's either mutton or beef.
Okay, so it's mainly any of the dal. So you're just like your typical dal mash, your chane ka dal, that so garbanzo beans, as they call it abroad. So a way in which the Mediterraneans use it is they have the falafel.
Oh
But
my God.
you don't want it fried per se.
Okay.
Use an air fryer. An air fryer is a lot better than the typical frying that we do. So that type of protein is much better. Red beans are good as well.
Yeah.
So any sort of protein from that aspect.
But
Plus,
why not mutton or beef, and why lentils?
well, it's because when you look at mutton and beef, you can still have it.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying do not have it. Have it, maybe limit it down to about 3 to 4 times a month.
All right.
And you want to avoid your red meat particularly, because that is high in your LDL cholesterol, which is your bad cholesterol, which leads more towards heart attacks, strokes, and everything else.
All right.
And you want more of your good cholesterol. And the only way to have good cholesterol is if you're genetically blessed with good cholesterol, which if you're lucky...
Pakistanis are not.
And
Mostly
we're generally not.
Yeah.
We're generally not. The only other way to get it, there's no medicine to increase your good cholesterol. It's only by exercise.
All right.
So those are the things that you need to watch out for.
Wow,
Right.
that's wonderful. And you know, just in addition to that as well, I thought, you know, that's going to happen, but that didn't happen. So
Oh, sorry, I was just...
moved on as well. Well, now what I want is that obviously, you know, so when, I mean, I think everybody over here in my household at least loves mutton and beef and everything as well. And you've kind of spoken about the repercussions it can have on your heart health as well, which is great. But now, so with cholesterol and all of these things, Pakistanis are so unaware whether their cholesterol level is just within the right mark or not. And they do not even get themselves tested. And just very recently, what I've seen is that in people who are very younger than me, kids as old as 17 or 18, there's a spike in triglyceride as well.
Correct.
Which kind of consists of animal fat and vegetable oil. So after doing my research, and then the kids were complaining, oh, we have headaches and whatnot. But all of this winter vacation, they have finally been eating all of that fast food which was available. So how do you think that triglyceride can actually have an impact on your heart health in the first place, or on your overall physical health, and then how to control it?
So triglycerides typically are your fats, so they're the unsaturated fats. So when you look at it, they're common in all your fried fatty foods. You see them in more of your frozen products as well. So when you go and you fry the frozen chicken nuggets or fish, whatever you have, and you particularly, what we typically do here in Pakistan, particularly during Ramadan as well, is I'm pretty sure everyone is guilty of it. You take the same oil that you made your samosas or your pakoras in, and you use it the next day and fry it again in there. And that is double the unsaturated fats in there. Right. So you're just taking in extra by day until you, so what you should do is you should throw away that oil and use fresh oil the next time. Right. So that's one thing. But for the triglycerides particularly, triglycerides are heavy in red meats and so forth. So you need to watch that. You need to watch your fried fatty foods. And then triglycerides not only affect your heart health, but they lead to, if you have such excessive levels, like if you get into the thousands or even above 500, it can lead to gallstones, so stones within the gallbladder. You can have pancreatic stones. Pancreatitis can be caused by high triglycerides. And the only way some medicines don't even work. At times you have to send a patient to have plasmapheresis, where just like dialysis, they take the toxins out of the blood, they actually remove the triglycerides out of your blood. So it is common, you see it often, and what most people don't realize when they come to the physician or go to a primary care doctor, they usually just get the cholesterol checked. True. You don't want just your cholesterol, you want your entire lipid panel or lipid profile. So you want your cholesterol, you want your HDL, you want your LDL, and your triglycerides.
Well, this is actually great information, because you're right. I mean, a layman, actually, whenever we go to the doctor, we want our cholesterol checked. But your lipid profile, as Dr. Saab mentioned, is what you should be looking for, especially when you're doubtful you have a heart condition. And now, when you spoke about changing oil, Shahzad, it's such a common habit in Pakistani households, and it's safe to say it happens in every other household. So it's a request for all of you out there, if you're watching, share it with your parents, share it with your friends and everyone, especially
the parents do it, or save the oil. There's so much excess oil in the curry. You can use it every single day.
No, but imagine, Shahzad, for the people living with cardiovascular diseases or similar conditions in a household, you should really be careful for them. Please do not reuse oil. Now,
that's not what I'm referring to. What I'm referring to over here is that, so the household where, alhamdulillah, there's nobody with a cardiovascular disease will eventually end up having cardiovascular disease, because they've been reusing the oil every single day. And today is the very first time that I've heard it from a professional that, hey, you're not supposed to do that. Which is why it's a practice in UK, US, everywhere. You go to a restaurant, they keep a check whether the restaurants are using the same oil or not, or whether they use the fresh oil every single day. And they do use fresh oil every single day.
And we're just talking about the households in Pakistan. Imagine the restaurants now. I'm questioning everything.
मैं तो 5 लीटर वाला पूरा महीना चला लेती हूँ. ऐसे चलता है.
ऐसे नहीं चलाना चाहिए. But towards the end, Dr. Saab, I'm going to take you back to where you started the conversation with. Losing weight and eventually keeping physical activity is definitely going to help you. But when we say that, and when such a sentiment is created, the common notion is lose weight. Patla hona, patla hona. The concept over here, which I want you to clear, is losing weight is not necessarily going skinny, but it has a lot to do with maintaining the BMI and your health.
Correct.
Let us know how we can do that.
So you're absolutely correct. So we don't just go by, there are a lot of people who fall into the category of obese. Or morbidly obese, or just the right BMI. So what we need to look at is when you lose weight, it needs to be a maintained healthy loss of weight. So the fad diets, the crash diets do not work. So you want to look at it from the perspective that when you're going to lose weight, it has to be something that is maintained. And you want to look at your BMI. So a person who's very tall, they can have a different ideal body weight than a person who is short in stature.
Right.
So not everyone needs to be skinny and thin like your typical, like what you see a movie star or a model. They don't need to be like that. You need to be at your ideal body weight, and you mainly go by BMI.
True.
We aim for a BMI ideally of around 25 or 25 to 30 is
I'm
okay.
exactly at 25 these
25
days.
is the better BMI.
I'm under whatever that is.
It's fine.
It's the body mass index, that's what it is, and you just have to weigh yourself and put in some
I
calculations.
did, but it's below what it should be for my age and height.
So it says that that the fat level in your body is low, and which is fine anyways as well. So you really do not have to go beyond 30. That's what
of course, I
say.
wish
Correct.
not.
But now, Dr. Saab, obviously we have this habit of self-analyzing ourselves, every single day since we're getting maturer. We want ourselves to be healthier. Someday we'll check our pulse. If everything's all right, everybody has got the BP machine at home, and they're all electronic these days, so you keep a check. Now, how do you think anybody can analyze just by looking at themselves? Because these days, people do complain about palpitations, घबराहट हो रही है, probably difficulty breathing, that too can be related to COVID as well, then anxiety, and then panic attacks. So how do we analyze that? God forbid if any of this condition is prevailing with us, if it happens to us once a week or twice a week, whether it's something wrong with our heart or something wrong with our mind.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, practicing in the States for so long, I had never heard of the term apprehension, which is घबराहट यहाँ पे. Everyone comes in and says, मुझे घबराहट हो रही है. And at the beginning, I never really understood what they were trying to say. But I've now caught on with the Pakistani terminology. What they're trying to say is that it's actually just basic anxiety, stress-induced. Others, it's actually more due to an underlying cardiac condition, be it high blood pressure, be it palpitations, they're tachycardic, heart rate's faster than 100, or they're having underlying chest pressure, chest tightness, things of that nature. So those are things that you need to delve out. Now, basically, anxiety and stress can lead to heart conditions. There's more research towards depression, the link between depression and heart disease, as opposed to anxiety and heart disease. Okay. But we do see, there is one particular aspect that we do see. There's a cardiomyopathy, which means a weakening of the heart muscle, or like congestive heart failure can do at times, where you see it's called stress-induced cardiomyopathy. So when a person automatically has some major stress in their life, loss of a loved one, what is typically called broken heart syndrome. You've probably heard of it. They have loss of a spouse, and automatically they have chest pain, shortness of breath. The heart muscle, the heart arteries spasm down and mimic a heart attack. So there is a link between anxiety and heart disease. It just hasn't been fully researched.
So mimicking a heart attack, does that really entail that it is seriously a heart attack, or it's just...
So it looks like it on an ECG.
All right.
You have the elevation in the blood markers that we look at.
Yeah.
But when you do an angiography, when you do the coronary angio, the arteries are fairly normal. There's no severe blockage anywhere. And the echo or other modalities show you that the pump function is very weak, and it's got this typical presentation. So it's called Takotsubo's cardiomyopathy, which is based from a Japanese word for octopus trap. So it looks like an octopus trap.
So what are we supposed to do then? God forbid, if you're in a condition of such sort.
You should go directly to the hospital. If you're having things like that, you should be directly evaluated in an emergency room. You shouldn't really wait to go see someone in an OPD sort of a basis.
Yeah.
Right, and because at the moment as well, I don't think you can tell for yourself what's going to happen.
Correct.
So even if it is severe or not, even if, God forbid, I mean, even if it's going to be a mimicked one or a real one, I think you definitely need expert's opinion at that moment.
Exactly, and just in addition to that, because we are talking about that, so let's just get that straight as well, because usually what people do is they say that, God forbid if you're in a condition of such sort, because even with panic attacks, people do get confused whether it's a heart attack or not, because the heart's pumping at 170 beats per minute, and you're breathless, and your arms are going numb, so you're always confused, because that's what people say, that these are the preliminary conditions or signs of you getting a heart attack. So what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to take an Angicid and then go to the hospital straight away?
No, I would not take an Angicid, unless you already have known heart disease underlying.
Okay. Or you've been prescribed.
Or you've been prescribed it, particularly prescribed it. So don't go and grab like your father or your mother's Angicid from the cupboard and take it. Please don't do that.
Why not?
Because it can actually drop your blood pressure precipitously.
All right.
And can lead to further catastrophic events if you're not prescribed.
Okay.
So there's certain things that you shouldn't do. I mean, you should, if you're having those palpitations, the tachycardia, the shortness of breath, you should see a medical professional. So go see your primary care physician, see a cardiologist, get evaluated and assessed. There's certain things that we would typically do. We'd probably say get an ECG. We'd want to check your thyroid function, make sure you're not high on your like hyperthyroid or hypothyroid. We'd want to make sure that your blood pressure is in control. We see it typically now in the young who are taking a lot of Red Bull, Sting, these type of high caffeine.
Pre-workouts as well.
Yes, that actually, we see a lot of patients coming in with elevated blood pressure, elevated heart rates due to that excess intake.
Right.
And that, if you limit that, you limit the smoking as well. People generally are smoking. That raises your blood pressure, raises your heart rate. Those things can contribute to it. But our main thing is you need to be evaluated. I would not don't ever take things lightly.
Yeah.
Always be safe rather than be sorry.
And just one last thing, and that is, I'm sorry that I have so many questions related to it, because I think I'm one of those people who really want to look after your hearts, ladies and gentlemen. So very quickly, so a lot of times people, usually my family members, so I'm not going to talk about people, my family members, if they're traveling from UK, they come down to Pakistan, they'll take out these supplement bottles and be like, hey, Khalu, this is very good for your heart. You should use this. This supplement is for people from 30 to 40 years of age, and your heart health is just going to be great. And the bottle even says, good for your heart. Do you think that these supplements will actually have an impact on your heart health? Is it going to make it better?
So that's a very common question we get every day in the clinic. So one of the things is, what I like to explain to patients is that you should be getting your normal vitamins in your regular diet. So everything should be available to you in your diet. The one thing that we lack here in Pakistan is we lack the vitamin D, because we don't go out to the sun, we don't get that. So that's a separate story. But getting like your Centrum Silver, the women's health, the cardiac health, that is really a money-making scam, so to speak. And it's the pharmaceutical industry that has perpetuated that scam.
Of course.
But on the flip aspect of it, you can take it, it's not going to harm you. Anything that's excess in the body, if there's excess of vitamin B, vitamin D, that essentially is going to be excreted from the body in your urine or whatnot. So essentially what I tell patients is you're making expensive pee.
So thank you very much, Dr. Shah, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation. And thank you very much for giving us an amazing insight on how to kind of look after your heart health, ladies and gentlemen. We want you to kind of stay healthy, because we have been going through difficult times. We really do not want another surprise for ourselves. Because either we're recovering from COVID or either we're getting the booster. We really do not need to go and see Dr. Saab and be like, hey, you know what, can you please do our echo or ECG and tell us whether our hearts is in a good shape or not. So please make sure that you work out, maintain a healthy diet.
Absolutely. And right now we're actually going to a short break, but I want to remind you all that make sure to get your doses of your vaccination if you haven't already, or your boosters as well. This morning or yesterday, I was reading the news of how a woman contracted the coronavirus, went into a coma for 6 months because she was an anti-vaxxer, did not believe in vaccines. And now she's out of the coma and finally getting a vaccine. So please make sure that you are already sane enough and you don't have to get that point. On this note, we're heading out to a short break. When we come back, we're definitely discussing something even more, I wanted to say fun, but I think it's going to be a learning experience.
Exactly. So ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after a short break. Good morning.
Welcome back to Well This Morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Shahzad Khan. I'm Shahzad Hashmi, and I'm telling you this while we're going on air live for all of you out there in more than 46 different countries. In Islamabad, it is so absolutely beautiful and hopefully still raining. How are you liking it, Shahzad?
Well, I don't know. So, which is why I actually had to, get into my picker cabin today and just make my way to work as well, because I was like, it's just raining, so I do not want a lot of splashes in my sedan. So alhamdulillah, thankful to Allah Almighty for giving me a pickup truck as well. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, the best part is that for the past more than a month we have been focusing on the expat community, and we've been talking about how wonderful and the kind of achievements they have made while being overseas as well. So imagine that, over here people, and we have been speaking about, may it be Punjab, may it be Sindh, may it be anywhere, but the majority of the people who still live abroad are seriously from Punjab, may it be Gujarat, Gujranwala, Phalia, Mandi Bahawaldeen, and elsewhere, or Jhelum as well for that matter, or Sialkot. But imagine that, so you went from this country, or even if you were born over there, but you always had a Pakistani nationality to yourself, and you become the mayor. And, whichever country you were in, you're representing the public affairs as well, and making sure that you're going to bring about a change. And then obviously you can reciprocate that model over here in Pakistan. So we're very lucky, first of all, that we've actually been joined by somebody who happens to be the mayor of London Borough of Lewisham as well. He is Mr. Tawseef Anwar. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum salam. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
It's honored to be sitting right next to the mayor, sir, because otherwise, we certainly have to call so many people and be like,
be on the other side of the
table. But thank you very much for joining. It's wonderful to have you. And alongside him, we are very lucky that we've actually been joined by the Consul of Thuraki, UK as well. He is Mr. Kasim Gondal. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, and thank you for having me on your show.
So thank you very much for joining us. So because we might not even certainly know quite a lot about the political affairs of the UK, but the research says that, that you actually get a year's term as the mayor. Is that true?
I mean, in principle, it's usually a year, but it's not written in a law. Like, this is my second year.
Well, that's wonderful. So how did you, for somebody who was from Pakistan, went from Pakistan, worked hard over there, and became the mayor, how did you do that? We want your story to be an inspiration for people out there.
Well, I think in UK, the politics very much work on your principle, and how much you work for your party, how much you work for your public, how much you are engaged locally, and that's what it matters. It's not matters which family you came from, or how big car you have, and how many bodyguards you have. So I think that was the main reason. So I have been blessed on this position.
Did you always have this passion of serving the people?
I have always been this passion.
Did you do that back home as well?
Well, there is some genetic factor. My granddad was in politics. He was a district council member. My dad was a councillor, and there was something in me, but it wasn't discovered until like last 7-8 years when I was properly active in politics. So I've been doing work in anti-racism movement, Stop the War Coalition, and then I jumped into it.
But I'm very sorry to bring this up, and I want this to be on a very lighter note as well, and you can come up with whatever answer you have. But since you said that you had it in you genetically, and your granddad and your father did it, it sounded like nepotism as well.
Well, no,
somewhere in between.
Nepotism worked very negatively in Britain.
All right,
British politics.
Yeah.
We have our Governor Chaudhry Sarwar. His son is now he's head of the Labour Party, like a president of the Labour Party in Scotland, and he has to do a lot because his dad was in politics.
True.
In Britain, it works against you. Even you are a very talented. They say, "Wow, it's not something your dad was and you were." Maybe my dad inherited from his dad, but I haven't because I was in a different country.
That's wonderful.
That's absolutely brilliant. And I want to say you already did answer one of my questions that I was going to ask, but I'll ask it anyway again for the both of you, because especially when you're a religious minority in a country, in a kingdom rather, the trust factor that you have to develop, not just with the Pakistani diaspora over there, but even with, Britain, people from the Britain themselves, and so many different ethnicities. How did you get there? You mentioned anti-racism movements, but there must be so many other things that you were doing, because it's really hard to get the trust, right?
Well, in UK, we don't describe people with their faith, because we have a large majority with people with no faith, but we do describe categorize people with their ethnic background and their color, which we call it BME. So Black, Asian, minority, ethnic background. So that also counts, and that's wherever there's a less representation, we always encourage people to come forward. And there are some areas where we think BME kids are not doing well. We try to focus on that. So yes, ethnic minorities are very much focused, and UK have a very big heart for ethnic minorities. I mean, there's always some silly people around everywhere, but yeah, but the positive side are very much.
Definitely.
Wow, wonderful. Gonza, your take on this one?
Trust, how did you get, being the councillor, of course, of Tarak, how did you get to develop
Obviously, where I live is slightly different than London. London is like much multicultural, city, but where I live is like kind of small villages, you can say.
Countryside.
Countryside, is based on small towns. So obviously it was slightly difficult, than London to have politics there, But obviously, with the positive activities, by gaining their trust. So what I did, I hosted various events. I engaged different communities. I engaged different businesses. I engaged different communities. I engaged even religious groups, So that's how I introduced myself. So once I was there, I hosted a lot of events. I engaged different communities. But again, as Mayor Saab was saying, the UK has very unique kind of a culture where they adopt everyone. So I think we were lucky to be in that country, and they have not just adopted us, they have honored us, they have selected us. So I have 3 or 4 people against me. They were local, they were raised up locally. Obviously, I moved there like 12 or 13 years ago. Wow. And when I moved to this area, I moved in 2015. And 2018, I was first elected, and I was, alhamdulillah, I'm very proud to be first Muslim and Pakistani who have ever been elected from that council.
Marshall. And we're proud of you, to be honest,
Thank
of
you
course.
so much.
Exactly. I mean, everybody takes pride in it, and it's wonderful. But sir, the kind of job you're supposed to do is somewhat which resonates with union councillors over here, in different regions of the Pakistani political diaspora as well. And when we talk about union councils over here, they've been, I mean, they do work, but they're still their I don't know how to put it, but their efficacy is questionable or efficiency is questionable. But for you to be working at the grassroots level and making sure that you're going to be voice of all of those other communities you live with, or other people or ethnic backgrounds you live with, how do you make sure that everybody is being heard? Because that's the main job you're supposed to do.
Yes, I mean, firstly, I would like to correct here. There is no such thing, a union council in Britain. So
obviously,
that there is district councils. So where you have a district council, that the same kind of population and stuff there. I mean, some people do get confused. Is that maybe union council?
No, but over here we have
I think in comparison,
we want Pakistanis to understand.
Yes, I know that. Yes, I mean, there is. They always work on what proportion you have it, and then they try to have the same. I mean, not only when you like in my council, we always think we have a 50% BME background people. We make sure our staff is at least representative of our population, like 50%. But political parties also do play this role. So wherever they think they want to give, like say in Pakistani language, we say we give a ticket. They will make sure they give a ticket to a 50% people are a BME background. My party is working very well on it. I mean, yes, sometimes they don't get elected or there's a various reason, but everyone have this social responsibility to give a voice to the voiceless.
Wow, and that's wonderful. And I think that everybody needs to kind of learn from this sort of democracy as well, which is why towards the end I want to ask you this question, whether what do you think about democracy over here in Pakistan as well in relation to the democracy you witness in UK every single day. But before we do that, because whenever you step into the political arena, sir, you obviously have a lot of challenges and people, oh yaar gondal nu ki pata chhaddo tusi main dasna tawanu, and this is how politics work. Everybody will have to kind of sweet mouth you, or probably say even if they are opposing you, they will say something which might not even be true. So how do you make sure, what kind of activities do you plan to make sure that, just before ahead of, kind of getting into councillorship, you make sure that, okay, these are the things, or this is the agenda, or this is the manifesto I have for my people, and that's what we are going to bring forward?
Obviously, we cannot compare these both countries. Obviously, there is a political system in Pakistan, but, the democratic system in United Kingdom is totally different. It's very strong, because it has been there for, hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So obviously there, once you are in politics, so they measure you, they measure your abilities purely because of what you do.
Who you are.
Your political work. It's not like you will inherit something from someone or you are someone special and they will, give you ticket. Or even getting a ticket is a very lengthy and very meritorious process. So once you are elected, then obviously you cannot discriminate people because of their race, religion, and color. So you have to serve people thoroughly, whoever they are. And obviously, there is very strong local system. So obviously, when we say counselor, so we straight away it comes up, in our mind, the counselors who are working in union councils. But there is totally different. Like I will give you an example, so it will give you insight how it works.
Yes,
just one project in my council is worth 1 billion. That's just one project, and that's in my ward. So you can imagine how our council works or how we as a councillors work.
So it's usually the council which is working over there.
Yeah, so this is one project in my constituency, and obviously we have different.
Every single day you wake up in UK, I think there's always a letter from the council saying something. Anyways,
that shows you have been to UK.
Yeah, exactly. But sir, what I want to ask is, so I totally agree that obviously the councils are big over there, and that's pretty much and they are the ones who are looking after it as well. But I seriously wanted to ask about the strengthened democracy we have in UK, and since they have existed for a longer period of time, so they obviously scrutinize everything and they make sure they're going to get better every single day. But to be affiliated with a political party, or just the way you refer to as getting a ticket, now over here you actually have to kind of be friends with the chairman of the political party, or probably give party fund and do things, khane khilaenge, whatever. So that's the trend over here. What's the trend over there?
But I think we do. I mean, if you're talking about Pakistani democracy, I think we do have a hope. The Pakistani democracy on journey, the things are getting better. That's what I think. All we need to do here to strengthen our institutes. We need to build up our institutes. That's the important thing. You think we are there? We moved there from Pakistan. We adopted their nationality. We naturalized there. They put us in a public offices. They don't think that we are Ghaddar. So here we can't contest the election because our institutes are not strong. We think 1%. They think even if you are Ghaddar, you can't do anything because our institutes are very strong. That's what we need to do, to build up our institutes here.
Wow, that's wonderful.
That's actually a very good answer. Yes.
Exactly. So, which is why, I think it's about time, because you took a lot of time on the other show with Tawseeq Saab as well. So, but thank you very much for taking out time, giving us your bit of what you want for Pakistani's politics, diaspora, to kind of work on as well, or probably on a grassroots level as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we wish you best of luck, and we wish you that, one day you're actually leading the UK as well, and that too in the forefront. And that's how we need to go forward, ladies and gentlemen. Because every single time it's a Pakistani who's been outside Pakistan for a longer period of time, they'll always come back with the good news. You will never hear bad news.
Well, that is absolutely brilliant. And I think the note that we need to close this show on is the people that we were in conversation with, while of course they have a different nationality, they are Pakistani. So if they have this character of accountability and just bringing good to the system, then I think living here we can also do that. So let's try to together make the democracy a stronger one.
Yeah, and learning from that, I think there's one more thing which I want to add over here, and that is that because a lot of people have been speaking about having dual nationalities. If they can do it in UK, why can people do it over here in Pakistan as well? So look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3.
Good morning.